healthy subjects is not including, and patients who are ignoring the disease are not inclusive. It's only the patients who are visiting clinics. And doctors only think about patients, not the entire population. And free competition among medical institutes, not organized. So therefore, this individual medical service shows number of entire patients doesn't decrease, and entire population health doesn't improve. So this is a big problem. So that's why we need to combine medical ordinary individual model and population management model. I want to explain about population management model. This triangle is population as village people or city people or company people or factory people or nationwide people. This is population. Okay? So usually high risk group is smaller and low risk group is bigger, larger. So that is why I show you this triangle. Okay? But the contents is unknown before the first step of that popular management. The first step is to know the risk level, the first evaluation, and then we divide 3 to 4 risk, high risk, low risk. And then we can make intervention according to the budget. If you have a lot of money, you can make intervention deeper. These 3 is the key of the population management, risk management. So I want to explain about this one each. How can we cover entire population if we cannot cover this? The impact of intervention is small, so it's not good. And next, how can we know correct risk if we cannot know the correct risk like this? The intervention has less effective. The third, how can we intervene properly? If we provide wrong intervention, not correct intervention, it's not good. And the intervention quality is very not good, not effective. If the cost is too high, this is also bad. Okay? So if we have 3, we achieve these 3 keys, we can provide good, appropriate intervention according to the budget, like this, according to the budget. Right? But if you have fixed budget, you can make intervention by thinner but deeper, or thicker but shallower. Okay? You can select by your strategy. Okay? So this is risk management, population risk management. And this is in the Japanese case. Okay? This Japanese government started this population management from 2008 by the first step is, of course, nationwide health checkup system. The target disease is non-communicable disease, diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and chronic kidney disease. And this group is metabolic syndrome, and this is pre-metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is this pre-NCDs, okay? So 4 groups. And the target is not all citizens because of the budget. So they select 40 to 74 years old citizens. Right now, 52% of this target are using this nationwide health checkup system. That's so only 52%. So it's a little similar to this figure, right? So not the entire population, but at the beginning it was only 30%. Right now, 15%, maybe getting bigger and bigger, so it's okay. So this is the summary of the Japanese strategy. So first, we have two fields, a healthcare field and medical field. In this healthcare field, we started the health checkup system and risk stratification. And then we make intervention to only higher risk group. And if we find patient, affected patient, we push the patient to the clinics. Okay? So in the medical field, we also make another risk management in this medical field, disease management. And we can make good role sharing among clinics right now. This explains about the Japanese medical insurance system. Japanese citizen the population is over 100 million right now, and they have to pay 30% of medical cost, and rest 70% insurance pay. We have more than 3,000 insurers, but this worked very well for more than 50 years. So again, I want to explain. Now, the first step is risk stratification by health checkup for 52 million. And then we provide health guidance, health consultation for this metabolic syndrome, this high metabolic group. And then we send this red group, affected group, to the medical field. And we manage the role sharing between the general physician. This means not non-specialist doctors and specialist doctors for the high risk and disease low risk, to avoid, to decrease serious complications. You don't understand this. This means insurer can match these two databases. That means this is the claim data, the 70% payment data. So they can match these two databases and detect who are visiting clinics and who are using health checkup. Okay, so we can make intervention for personal level. This is the essential figure of this data health plan. So this first target is black box. So if insurers cannot find any data from the health checkup and from the claim data, this person is maybe very much health, or nobody knows. So maybe very health, but maybe not that condition. Okay? So insurer can send this person to the health checkup place. And next is this. So if insurers find by the health checkup data, he has bad diabetes or hypertension, but the claim data didn't come out. Maybe he is ignoring to go to the clinic. So insurers can send him to the clinic. The third target is this. If the insurers find annual health checkup data and claim data, so he visited the clinic every month, but the drug is increasing, the health checkup result is worsening, so the insurance can make intervention to him. And recently, Japanese government makes this data health plan carrot and stick system. So insurance have economic penalty or incentive by the result of this process. And maybe 3 years later, the insurers have another penalty or incentive by the outcome of this data health plan. So this is really, really strong system. Now the population management is getting better in Japan. And this is the figure of the Bangladesh PhD project. Later, my colleague, Dr. Mark and Dr. Yokota will talk about this PhD project. But this project is really similar. Because this is NASDAQ provide health checkup process, and then this system can provide make the risk stratification automatically into four groups. Okay? So if we find this orange and red group, affected group, we can connect the doctor call center to manage them. So this is really similar to this one. So same to Japan. So this is strategy for population health management by PHC. Okay? So this is all same. But only this is a different telemedicine. We use telemedicine for this kind of the PHC model. And please remember this. So healthier population have bigger labor productivity. So citizens get healthier and clinics increase number of patients, not serious patients. But insurance reduce medical costs to avoid serious complication. And company and government get bigger productivity. So this is win-win model. So this works very well. Another answer is patient engagement. This is WHO leaflet. So now WHO is promoting this patient engagement very much. So this is issue of NCD again. The existence of patients, we ignore their own sickness. Now it's getting smaller in Japan by the population management system. I just told you. But still, patients who even visit clinic listen to only 30% of the doctor's words. So that we have evidence of this. Okay? So this is very difficult problem. Patient engagement is this. Patients should be well informed and actively participating in decision making and self-care. So now, so far, we have concept of the patient-centered system. This is still passive. Not only this, we have to add this new concept. So patients should one part of the decision maker of their health and disease. Okay? The opposite end of the paternalism medical service. This paternalism medical service is just giving the tablet and take it. That's it. This is a paternalism medical service. This is not very good. But formally, any of countries are providing this kind of the paternalism medical service. But this patient engagement is the opposite. Okay? The concept was derived from consumer engagement by Amazon. Amazon gained a lot of customers by this concept. And ICT too, as IoT, smartphone, portal sites, are very powerful tool of this patient engagement. This is PHR, smartphone. We have paper notebook. This is paper PHR, personal health record. So diabetes PHR and hypertension PHR, drug PHR, divided paper system. But we can integrate into this smartphone. And also we have several data from the at home or some kind of office about the blood sugar, blood pressure, and exercise amount by this IoT technology, wearable sensors. We can fusion this several data. So PHR is now a powerful tool for patient engagement to manage your own information. And also to have primary role in decision making by information and knowledge. And this is the system of the mutual communication. Okay? So we can get a lot of data from information from patient, and also we can provide medical information and knowledge to the patient. For example, alert and remind or something, etc. So this is now thinking. We are now thinking of this PHR for the patient engagement. Japanese government started this PHR testing field 5 years ago. This is PHR patients. PHR. This patient can collect a lot of data from pharmacy, hospital, clinic, and they can make backup database. If they lost a smartphone, they can recover the data from this database. But business model is really difficult to establish because patient cannot pay and hospital and clinic don't want to pay. This business model, insurer pay because insurer has motivation to pay to reduce medical cost. And they have to provide data health because they have carrot and stick system. So, and they have to promote data health. And also, insurers want to promote the clinical guideline. Okay, so this PHR is very useful for providing this. That is why insurer has motivation to pay for this PHR system. And this is Bangladesh model, and they already have PHR system. They are not using this, but maybe soon they can use. Because they already have the database, they just use this database for smartphone. It's easy. Okay, this is conclusion. We should combine medical service, ordinary service, individual management, and population management for NCDs to make this sustainable. And patient engagement is now essential for disease management for NDCs. And ICT, like us, PHR is an indispensable, powerful management tool for NCDs. Okay, my talk is over. So thank you very much.
What we learned. Anyone which is very interesting in the bioinformatics or medical informatics, I think this subject yet not be in your curriculum, I guess, but I think it is very important subjects in the healthcare areas, that how the informatics can help to control these issues. So I wish in the break time you can engage with Professor Nakashima and have some queries to get the future perspective. Thank you again, Professor Nakashima. Thank you very much.
Moving ahead, I would like to introduce our next invited speaker, Dr. Madhu Biyani ma'am. She is working at Department of Pharmaceutical Engineering, Toyama Prefectural University, Japan. Give a huge round of applause for ma'am.
Good afternoon and konnichiwa, namaste. So I'm coming from Toyama Prefecture, Japan. This prefecture is very beautiful and one of the most famous tourist place in the Japan. And the capital city, Toyama city, is also known as the city of medicine. This city has the history of 300 years in the medicine business, and around 2,000 species of the medicinal plants are grown here. And most of the new drugs are developed based on the traditional medicines. So along with this, the Toyama prefecture has the beautiful season. All seasons have their uniqueness and their colors. Now I belong to the Toyama Prefecture University. This university is founded in 1990, and this university has the undergraduates and the graduate programs in engineering and the nursing field. And this university has a great or superb academic environment. The students here learn latest technology. So now let's move to my main topic of this today's talk. I will talk about the development of the vitamin D3 and its analog for the prevention and the treatment of cancer. Here I must emphasize this proverb that old is gold, because the vitamin D has lot of benefits, and now the vitamin D benefits are well known, and its involvement in the body's vital process are becoming recognized. You are probably wondering, but let's discover the vitamin D3 preventive and therapeutics benefits in my next slide. So this is the overall outline of my talk today. I divided my talk in two parts. First part I will talk about the vitamin D as a preventive medicine, and in the second part I will discuss the development of vitamin D3 analog as a cancer therapeutics. So now the first part. So first of all, what is the vitamin D? Vitamin D is also known as the sunshine vitamin. It is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it is essential steroid for hormone. In nature, it is present in two dietary forms: vitamin D3, polycalciferol, and the vitamin D2, calciferol. Vitamin D3 is mostly found in the fatty fish, egg yolk, and vitamin D is found in the mushroom. So vitamin D plays several biological processes in our body. For example, it promotes the calcium absorption in the guts, it helps in the bone mineralization, it activates the bone growth and remodeling. In addition of these, it also modulates the neuromuscular function and immune function in our body. It also induces the target gene that regulate the proliferation, differentiation, and apoptosis. Now, to understand the vitamin D metabolism is very critical to understand the mechanism of its function. So first of all, the major part of the vitamin D is synthesized in the skin under the influence of the UV light, and the small part is derived from the dietary intake. So in the skin, what happens? In the skin, the 7-dehydrocholesterol is converted in the free vitamin D3, and free vitamin D3 further converted in the vitamin D3, and this vitamin D3 is transported into the blood and then hydroxylated in the liver with the enzyme Sept2R1 and Sept27A1, and this hormone is called the calcidiol or 25-hydroxy D3 vitamin D. And now the second hydroxylation process occurs in the kidney tubules. Here the enzyme Sept27B1 converts the calcidiol into the most active form 1-alpha-25-dihydroxy vitamin D3 or calcitriol. This hormone is the most activated form of the vitamin D3, Then it further binds to the VDR receptor, vitamin D binding receptors, and this vitamin D receptors are transcription factors, and these transcription factors partner with the another transcription factor, retinoid X receptors, and then induce the gene expression in the cells that are responsible for the classical and non-classical functions of the vitamin D3. We already talked that calcium homeostasis, bond formation, anti-proliferation, differentiation, immune regulation, anti-inflammation, apoptosis, such type of function vitamin D done in our body. Now this slide is showing the clinical guidelines. You have such questions in your mind and you want to ask me first how much vitamin D we should take for every day. So for the children and the adults up to the age of 70 needs around 600 international units or 15 microgram per day. Or above the age of 71, the vitamin D requirements increase around 800 international units or 20 microgram per day. So second, how common is this vitamin deficiency all over the world? If you see the graph, you will find the vitamin deficiency is prevalent all over the world. And if you look at the India, it's around 75% population suffer with the vitamin D insufficiency, even though we have the longer time of sunlight. So why these deficiencies occur? So most of the reason is that we are not taking the diet properly that have the vitamin D, and we don't have the inadequate exposure to the sunlight. And other reasons like that gastrointestinal diseases, medication we are taking, or some chronic liver or kidney diseases can cause the variation in the vitamin D level. The vitamin deficiency can lead to the severe health problems. You maybe know that the rickets and the osteoporosis is the common problem caused by the vitamin deficiency. But now the vitamin D also linked with the other serious problems such as cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and so on. Now you have seen in the metabolism that these four proteins, three enzymes, activating enzymes and the inactivating enzymes of vitamin D and the VDR are important for the biological function. If the mutations occurs in these enzymes or protein, so what will happen if the CYP22R1 and CYP27V1 this cause the rickets, type 1st and osteoporosis. If the mutations occur in the CYP24E1, it causes the hypercalcemia, nephrocalcinosis and nephrolithiasis, and VDR mutation cause the rickets type 2. This slide is showing the common vitamin D deficiency problems or skeleton disease. I think you already know the rickets. Rickets is a common problem in the children, and it is due to the lack of the vitamin D and the calcium. And in this problem, the bones become soft and easily deformed. And one of the reasons that found that lack of the sunlight. And the second problem, most common problem in the women, the osteoporosis. In the osteoporosis, generally the bone formation, bone mass loss is faster than the bone formation. There is an imbalance between the bone formation and resorption. So this is the one common problem in the women, and 1 in 3 women found after the age of 50, this problem is very common. Now recently, this paper reported that the low vitamin D concentration can cause the cancerization. So long epidemiological or preclinical or research studies reveal that vitamin D3 is not just for the strong bond, it has also the anti-cancer properties. Vitamin D3 regulates the entire process of the tumorigenesis from initiation to the metastasis. It also regulates the tumor microenvironment, tumor microenvironment interactions such as angiogenesis, antioxidant, anti-inflammation, and so on. So over here we can see the vitamin D regulates the broad physiological process in our body, but the vitamin D has the clinical limitations because its side effects such as hypercalcemia or calcinosis, calcification of the soft tissues. So thus, there is need to modify the vitamin D active form into some different structures so we can retain the therapeutic important property of this compound and reduce the calcemic side effects. So these analogues further can be used for the treatment of the various diseases. Now this slide is showing some clinically approved vitamin D3 analogues. For example, edicalcitol or ED71. This is the first vitamin D analogues that has been clinically approved in Japan 2011 for the treatment of the osteoporosis. And there are some other analogues that are clinically used for the treatment of psoriasis and treatment of the secondary hyperparathyroidism. In our lab, we have developed the two key technology to screen out the vitamin D3 analogues. Here is the one technology, split luciferase based biosensor technology to find out the VDR ligands, and second for the metabolic analysis of vitamin D3 and its analog that we call cell-free reconstitution Sept24A1 system. So here first we discuss the in vitro screening assay. So this screening assay is called the split luciferase biosensor. Here we can find out the VDR binding ligands. Here we investigated the one vitamin D analogues ED71 as a model, and we found that this has the similar binding affinity to the VDR and the high binding affinity to the protein, vitamin D binding proteins. Now the second technology, metabolic analysis of the vitamin D3 and its analogues. So before talking of this technology, I would like to introduce you what the Sept24A1. I think you already talked about this in my previous slide, but briefly I will discuss here. This is the member of the cytochrome P450 superfamily. It may widely expressed in the mitochondrial inner membrane, and it's generally inactivating enzyme of the 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, and it plays a very important role in the calcium homeostasis. And recently, the Sept24A1 is also proved as the oncogenic properties. And in the graph, you can see the Sept24 mRNA expression is increased in various types of the cancers. So it's very important. This enzyme is very important, or we can develop the vitamin D3 analogs that have the resistance to this enzyme. So these analogs can further use for the cancer therapeutics. So now this is the second technology we developed in our lab, and this is cell-free reconstitution Sept24A1 system. This is not commercially available. This is belongs to our lab only. This is the original of our lab, and here this system was developed by using the E. coli cells expression system, and using this system we could able to reveal the metabolism of the active form of the vitamin D and its analogs. further examined this system using the AD71 as a model analogs, and we found after the HPLC result that this analog has remarkably resistance to the Sept24 dependent metabolism in compared to its mother compound. And we believe that the AD71 in the osteoporosis treatment, why this vitamin D analogs has the biological effects, because it has the resistance to the Sept24 metabolism. We further explain over this finding by using the molecular docking analysis. In the cartoon, you can see that ED71 has interference in the binding to the Sept24 So this means that it has a resistance to the Sept24 and it has long time to live in the active form. Now I move to the second part. Here I will talk about the development of the vitamin D3 analog in the cancer therapeutics. Here is some example of the analogs MART10 and MART10 series, where vitamin D analogs that we developed. So here is the structure of the 125 vitamin D3, and we using the derivation process we synthesize the MART10 and investigated its anti-cancer functions. So MART10 first we examined their affinity to the VDR, and we found the MART10 have the same maintain the same level of affinity of 125 D3, and we also examined the metabolism by the Sept24 of MART10, and we found that the MART10 only inactivated only 1% by the Sept24 and then further we administered this MART10 to the tumor-bearing mouse, and we found that after treatment with 0.3 microgram per kg for twice a week for 3 weeks, the tumor volume and the tumor grade greatly suppressed when treated with the MART10 in compared to the 125 D3. So MART10, we found that the MART10 is a promising drug for the treatment of the cancer. However, the clinical trial is warranted. Further, the next generation of the MART10 we derived and we gave the name MART10 series. Here is the confidential structure, and we further checked this MART10 series binding affinity to the VDR and the metabolism to the Sept24 and we found that the MART10 have the remarkable resistance to the Sept24 and have the high affinity to the VDR. We further investigated the MART10 series anti-cancer properties, and we checked the cell viability in the breast cancer cell line, and we found that the MART10 decreased the cell viability in the MCF cell line significantly in compared to the 125 T3, and it is also, however, it is comparable to the MART10. We further investigated the cytotoxic effect of the MART10 series, and we found that MART10 have the cytotoxic of the breast cancer cell line. Here you can see the cytotoxic level increase in the MART10 series around the concentration of 1 micromolar and 100 nanomolar. Now the further investigation are needed to develop this MART10 series for a cancer treatment. So further animal models, animal examination also needed for this to prove that this smart NCDs can be useful for the cancer treatment. Now here I conclude my study, today's talk, that the three properties are very important to design or synthesis of the vitamin D3 analogs for the promising cancer therapeutic agent. First is the high affinity to the VDR. The analog should be bind to the VDR very specifically and with the high affinity. Second, the low calcium effect. These analogs should have the low calcium effect. And third properties, they should be resistant to the Sept24A1. Now I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the Professor Sasaki and Junior Associate Professor Yasuda and Chugai Pharmaceutical Company in Japan and Kitaka Sensei from Tokyo University for allowing me to present this research work in this conference. Now, the sunlight is a natural, sustainable resources for the vitamin D3. So, enjoy the vitamin D, enjoy the sunlight every day because the sunshine is the best medicine. Thank you for your kind attention.
So thank you, Dr. Madhu, for this wonderful talk. So we had a talk for vitamin D. I think everyone knows vitamin D, but we got two keywords: analog, MAR10, okay, and another keyword is the Sept24A1. So these are the two keywords that can help to utilize the vitamin D efficiency in our cell. Okay, so this is something research. What research we can do on vitamin D, and we can efficiently use the sunshine to improve. This is not just for the bone disorder, but it can be also used for many cancers and some other disease disorders. So what is important for all of you to understand the research, what type of research you can involve using the natural healthcare remedy which we have from ancient time. Okay, so we have not much time, but please in the break time have interact with the other ma'am also. Okay, thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing such a deep knowledge. Moving ahead with our next invited speaker, Dr. Rafiqul Islam Maroof. I feel glad to introduce Sir. Sir is Associate Professor at Medical Information Center, Kyushu University Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Rafiqul Islam Maroof, Sir, with huge round of applause.
Okay. Good afternoon. First, I would like to convey my cordial thanks to Dr. Biyani, Manish Biyani, and all the Biyani brothers for their wonderful event and inviting me to talk in this occasion. Actually, with Professor Nakashima, I believe I talked here 6 years back on our project Portable Health Clinic. So during this 6 year, we have some development with this research, and I hope to share some updates of this development. And those who are new members, I understand they're young students, so for you, I will give some basic idea of Portable Health Clinic so that you can understand what it is. Actually, now I'm working with Kyushu University as an associate professor, but at the same time, I'm involved with Grameen Communications Bangladesh. So right in this moment, I have two hats, one with Grameen Communications and one with Kyushu University. So the research work I will introduce, actually this, we started it in 2009 as a joint collaboration with Kyushu University. So my background is information technology. I'm not from medical field, but why I get involved in the healthcare sector is because we see that there is a good opportunity for the ICT to be involved in any areas of research, and it can help to improve the quality of service. So why we started working on healthcare, to understand that if you see a little background or Bangladesh, as I'm from Bangladesh, if you see the country profile, healthcare profile, you can understand it better. Bangladesh is a highly dense populated country. We have about 160 million people. But this is a very small country, but the population is very high. And interestingly, the 70% of our population lives in the rural area, in the village area. But unfortunately, like any other developing country, we have less facilities in the rural area. So where the most of the people lives, they have the less facility for the healthcare services. So, but at the same time, there is a good notion in our country that Bangladesh government has declared Bangladesh as digital Bangladesh. They are trying to use ICT in different areas so that it can increase the development rate of the country. So they are using ICT all over the country. So we have a good network coverage. Almost 100% country is covered by network. That's why when we find that we don't have the healthcare facility in the rural area, but we have some doctors in the urban area. So we feel that using the network facility, we can connect the rural people with the urban doctors. So that's why we come up with a solution that we thought in our situation, telemedicine would be a solution, because we have the doctor in the city, we'll connect the patients in the rural area. But when I say that we need, we will use telemedicine, it requires doctors. But what is the situation of doctors in Bangladesh? According to WHO, World Health Organization, they says that if you have a community of 10,000 people, if your village has 10,000 people, you need at least 12 doctors. For every 10,000 people, you need 12 doctors. If you see the graph, you can understand that in case of Japan, they have about 24 doctors. The average baseline is 12, they have more than that, the double of. In European country, they have much better situation. In case of Bangladesh, we have just 5 doctors. India has little better situation. So if I compare Bangladesh and Japan situation, it means that the patient seen by 5 doctors or 6 doctors in Japan should be seen by 1 doctor in Bangladesh. So 1 doctor of Bangladesh needs to deal with the 6 doctors of Japan. So you can understand this is a very critical situation. It's not possible to provide quality service in this situation. So what is needed? We need to, easy solution would be, we need to increase the number of doctors. But this is not an easy way. It takes time. And our calculation shows that if we like to go to the 12 margin, that for 12 doctors for every 10,000 people, the statistics show it will take about 25 years more to go to that level. So what is the alternative? Alternative thing is, when we cannot increase the number of doctors, we need an alternative solution, and that alternative solution, we need to reduce the number of patients. If we can reduce the number of patients, then we can tackle the situation with limited doctors. But the question is how? How to reduce the number of patients? The solution is introducing preventive healthcare. As Professor Nakashima mentioned in his presentation several times, that prevention is very important. As we all know, prevention is better than cure. So in our situation, we find that we need to go to the preventive way so that we can reduce the number of patients, reduce the load on the on doctors. So now you see, we find 2 keywords. One is we need telemedicine, and we need preventive healthcare. So if we combine these 2 keywords, then we come up with a solution, what we call portable health clinic. So this is not for Bangladesh. This is actually for any developing country. And actually we find that this is equally important even for the developed country. There is many places you can use that. So what is portable health clinic? It is a simple, it looks like a simple toolbox, like first aid box. It has a lot of sensors inside that. So this is, but the portable health clinic, it has 4 components basically. One is diagnostic tool, as you can see, like a first aid box. But the beauty is it's connected with the online database system. We have an online data server. So whenever you take the measurement, vital information uses the system, all data transferred to our online server. Third level is, it is connected with the remote doctors. As I mentioned that we have the remote doctors connected with this box. So whenever we have the data on the online server, the doctor can monitor the data from the far distance. Fourth is, this system is operated by a local health worker. We don't need a doctor to operate the box. We need some health worker. Because as I said, that in rural area, it's difficult to find a qualified doctor. But we have many young people, young women, those who are interested to contribute. And if we train them for 2 years diploma program for basic health worker training, they can be capable to handle this. So using that 4 components, you can see that it has diagnosis tool, it has data transmission system so that you can preserve the data, it is connected with the doctors, and it has it's operated by health worker. So normally whatever you get from a clinic, all the facilities are over there. So wherever the box goes, you can get all the benefits. That's why we call it portable health clinic, a clinic that can move from one place to another. And sometimes we call it doctor in a box, because the box is connected with the doctor. So how this system works, I will give you a short Actually, there is a short video. I don't know how it's not working here. Okay. As I mentioned, that is the box. It is. It has connected with different vital sensors. It has more than 17 parameters now we can collect using these sensors. So whenever a patient comes to the health worker, first she registers the patient. So all the basic information are collected and preserved in our online server, and every patient is given a unique user ID. Secondly, the patient's vital information are collected. So we have automated system. We have 2 kinds of systems. Some sensor can transfer the data automatically, some sensor we need to put the data manually. And when you put all the data in the system, system has a triage system. It can classify data in 4 categories, red to orange, based on their severity. And finally, those who are orange and red, they need the doctor consultancy, and the doctor is connected with the box, and the patient can get information. And the box has a printer inside, so patient can get the prescription being in the village. So you can see from this system that if the box goes in the village where there is no doctor, the health worker can use this, and she can take the vital information, share with the doctor, and get the doctor consultancy. And after the doctor consultancy, she can get the prescription instantly from the box being in the village. So it served in this way. And when we started this research, initially we had a big discussion, what sensors should we keep inside the box? Because we know that there are some thousands of sensors. So how to pick up the best one for our box? Then we had some study of the research pattern, of the disease pattern of Bangladesh. When we studied the disease pattern of Bangladesh, we find that about 70% of our total patients goes under non-communicable disease like hypertension and diabetic. So as this is the major part of our patient, so we concentrate on the NCD at the very beginning. So with the basic health checkup, we keep the sensor for the especially hypertension and diabetic. so that we can cover majority of our patients. And as Professor Nakashima mentioned, that personal health record, this system has already the personal health record. As I mentioned, that every patient is given a user ID, a unique ID, and all data are preserved on the online server. So wherever you go, if you use your user ID and password, you can see your data. Like, this is my personal data actually. I can see whenever I go to the doctor, I can show my past history from the very beginning to until today. So all data are reachable, so that it's very helpful for the new consultancy, for the new doctors. And when, as I mentioned, we started these activities in 2009, but during this time, we have extended these services in different areas of the world. So far, we have activities in Thailand, we have activities in Cambodia, we have activities in Pakistan, we have activities in Liberia in Africa, and also we have the activities in India. So as I mentioned, we started this activity in 2013 in Jaipur with the collaboration of Biyani Group. And this activity is still going, and I believe that Dr. Yokota will make his presentation on the PAC activities in India after me. So today I'd like to share the new development, what we had in the 6th year. As I mentioned, the PHC was initially developed for the preventive healthcare, that is for the basic treatment. But when we started this service in the rural Bangladesh, whenever our staffs visited different villages, when they say that we are here for the basic checkup or the basic treatment, then always there is a complaint that we have some severe problem in this area. So only the primary healthcare is not enough to convince the people. They need more services, because as I said, in the village they don't have any doctor. So whenever the PAC system goes, they asked for them advanced level of services, advanced level of healthcare. So during that time, we find different requirements. Especially in case of Bangladesh, we find huge patients, those who are coming for the eye problem, ophthalmic problem. There are many patients, those who are coming with maternal child healthcare problem. There are many patients come with the dental care and also skin care. These are the top 4 items, those who are more demanding from the local community. So we thought that we need to add this module gradually inside the PAC's primary health box, so that it can be a total solution for the rural communities. But when we try to implement these advanced services in this box, we find a new requirements for the doctor sides. Because doctor says if we like to provide the second level of treatment, like secondary or tertiary level of treatment, they need more information. Only primary vital information is not enough for the far distance doctor to give the consultancy. So the requirements come from the doctor that they need some more reports. So we come up with the idea that we need the telepathology system. So telepathology module is also added. So in the rural Bangladesh, although we don't have a sophisticated pathological lab, but we have small labs, those who are operated by lab technologists. So we have added a new module, we called it telepathology. So using this module, we have the local local staff, lab technologists, and we connect them with the urban pathologists. So using the telepathology system, the local staff with the support of the pathologists, urban pathologists, they can produce the pathological report. So once it is there, they can produce any kind of pathological reported from the telepath system. So this helps our call center doctors to give the advanced level of prescription. Also, we have added, as I mentioned, the tele-eye care. Tele-eye care has been added about 4 years back to the PAC system. This works at the similar way. We have the local staff, those who collect the basic information of the eye, and they collect the visual information of the eye, and even sometimes the short video of the eye. And that data is transferred to the ophthalmologist in the city. So this ophthalmologist sitting in the city, he can see all the data and the images and videos of the patient from the urban area. And based on that, they can also make the video call with the patients and talk to the patients. Finally, they can prepare the prescription, including the glass prescription, whatever it is needed. Recently, we have added another module we call Mother and Child Care module, and this is also very much important, especially in the rural area where most of the patients is female and they are suffering from this kind of problem. So we added this module. Actually, this is a standard module. This is a module what is promoted by WHO. WHO says that from the pregnancy until the 2 months age of the baby, there are 8 mandatory checkups. If these 8 mandatory checkups are implemented, we can reduce the, we can improve the mortality rate. So this process is added in this portable health clinic, and this is recently added. And this system, we just need the midwife. As we know that in the rural area, we have the birth attendant or a midwife, and we have the gynecologist from the urban hospital. So if we connect these two together, then we can give this kind of WHO protocol service in the rural areas. And this is how the process goes. You can see that they can take the vital information, they talk to the, even they have the, so the mechanism is very much similar. The telepathology or tele-eye care or maternal health care, all the information is collected for the rural area and shared with the urban doctors, and they get the consultancy. And we have also provided some documents or book for the rural women so that they can keep it as a reference for their checkup. And they keep all the history of from the first pregnancy to the final, until the 2 months of the baby. And this is the service model actually in case of Bangladesh. As I mentioned that as we don't have the doctor, we use the health worker. The one health worker take the responsibility of one village, and she usually give the services from a medicine shop, and sometimes she visited patients' home on request. Because for the elderly people or sick people or pregnant lady, they visit the patients at home, and from their home they can get the services. And so far, this is the statistic. Until 2018, we have about 42,000 patients, but by now we have crossed about 44,000 patients by this 2019. And you can see that gradually the number of patients has been increasing, and you can see the patients in color. It see that orange and red patients, those who are severe, they are just 40% of the total population. And in our system, the health worker can give the consultancy. Those who are green, they are healthy, so they don't need any consultancy. But those who are orange, they need some guidance, so health worker can do that. But only the 40%, that orange and red, they need the doctor consultancy. So in other words, we can say that using this system, we can reduce the load of the doctor. Because if we don't have this triage system, 100% patient needs to be attended by the doctors. But this way, we can reduce their load. And the micro-internship model, how this system works in the rural area. As I said that we grow this kind of health worker in the rural area. What they need a diploma in healthcare services. In Bangladesh, we have 2 years diploma program. If somebody has that qualification, and if she can invest $1,500 only, then she can be an entrepreneur. And what Grameen provide her a training, intensive training for the whole system and service. And Grameen also provide the diagnostic box, the PEC box. Also, we provide them the Gram Health software system, the online solution. And finally, we have the call center in Dhaka, and the entrepreneur can use our call center. Whenever they need the call from the doctor, they get the support from Grameen call center. And this, about the sustainability. Sustainability is very important for this kind of model. We try to make this micro-entrepreneur so that they can be independent, they can earn enough for their livelihood. So we find that if a health worker have 200 monthly patients, every month if they have 200 patients, the income they can earn from these services, they can survive and they can get an equal level of salary of his counterpart, those who are doing the government job. So 200 patients per month is a requirement, is baseline for their sustainability. And to increase their income, not only this service, actually they also bring the medicine when they visit the home, so that they sell the medicine also, what the medicine required, prescribed by the doctor, so that they can make some income from the medicine shop, medicine selling. And also they bring some female product that are required by the female in the rural areas, those who are not available in the local market. So they bring that kind of home delivery service also, so that they can make some extra income from that. So I will conclude here. The final, I would say that this is a simple tech solution. This is not high tech. This is very simple tech. This already exists. But the beauty of this thing is the usability. The common technology, what we have, we make the best use of it so that it will be workable for the rural people. And this is very much replicable, easily replicable, as there is no high tech involved here. So any places it can be used. Like as I mentioned, we are using in different part of the world. And this is a modular system. As I mentioned, that we have added the telepathology system, we have added tele-eye care system, we have added tele-maternal child health care system. But based on requirements, next we will work on tele-dental care and tele-skin ophthalmologic dermatological care. So this is underway. And as I mentioned, that although we have developed this system for the developing country like Bangladesh, but later on we find that this is equally important even for the developed country, like at a country like Japan also. For example, in that country also, they have the aging population is increasing. If you visit if you know the village area of the Japan, the aged population is highly increasing, and most of the young people, they try to move to the urban area. So they have the similar situation in the rural area. They need somebody to visit the aged people and give the healthcare service at their home. So this model can be worked even in the developing country, but they have some different regulation, they have some different standard. So we are working how PSC can be used in that kind of level. So there are some research activities going on. And finally, I would say that the main hurdle for the system or sustainable system is the money, as I said, the business model. Because in our system, in case of Bangladesh, there is no health insurance policy still. So what happens, the patient needs to pay the 100% what the cost it involves. So sometimes it's difficult. They know that they need this service, they know they need to pay this money, but it's difficult for them to pay that amount of money. So it is very much required for the public insurance. The country need to have some public insurance policy so that a part of that cost can be covered by the country. And good thing in Bangladesh, and I believe in many other countries, there is some development that government is thinking about public insurance. Once this public insurance is in action, then the load will be reduced on the ordinary people, rural people, and this system can be more useful, more usable. So that's all. This is my presentation. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
So thank you, Dr. Marlouf. You got another keyword, PSC, Portable Health Clinic. You can have a look outside this room. You can have a look how this PSC works. So can we have any queries for PSC? It's rather a simple system to provide the healthcare services where we don't have any hospitals or. So maybe I have one query with Dr. Marlouf, because I think now we are talking with sustainability. So can you comment how in Bangladesh this system is sustainable? That means in terms of the satisfaction from the user side.
Thank you very much. Actually, this is the main challenge. This is the most important question. Actually, in case of Bangladesh, as I mentioned at the final comment, that in our case, the patient satisfaction, if I say patient, definitely patient usually prefer to see the doctor face to face. That is the conventional way. They don't, they are not used to that somebody will talk from far distance over video conference and they will be satisfied with that. They need somebody to touch their hand. That is the basic notion. But the thing is, they feel that it is very difficult for them because they need to far distance and it's very expensive for them to go there. So they are a little bit convinced now, because especially the areas where we are working, because we have some sort of awareness building. Awareness is very important because as there is no alternative, they can use it. And once they use it, they feel that it's useful for them. But the problem is the payment case. That is the main issue. And another thing is for the sustainability of the healthcare ladies. In Bangladesh case, what happens? We have small medicine shops in the rural area. And usually the rural area, the medicine shops are run by some pharmacists. They call it pharmacists, but they are not officially pharmacists. They have some 6-month diploma program, just sales license they have. So what we do, that we involve this health worker with some medicine shop. So they tag together. So the health worker works inside the medicine shop because people come to the medicine shop to purchase the medicine. And if the system is there, the shop owner can involve the city doctors. So patient can get more better support from the urban doctors. And the prescription what they develop, they can sell there, they can increase their sale from the medicine shop. So we are combining the pharmacy and the health entrepreneur together, and this is a package, and that is more, how to say, sustainable in our observation.
So I guess maybe the involvement of government with some insurance policy can help your system. And I hope in India also we could try to find a way how to make it sustainable. Because that is one of my most challenging what I'm doing with PSC. So thank you again. Any queries? Yeah, this time I should expect a few queries from all of you. If not, then we have some break times. So in that time, please have a interaction with the speaker. So thank you again, Dr. Maru.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, with immense pleasure, I would like to invite our next invited speaker, Professor Fumike Yokota. Let me an opportunity to introduce Sir. Sir is working at Kyushu University, Japan, and his major research interest in public health, social epidemiology, and international health. Please welcome Professor Fumiko Yokota with a huge round of applause.
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम योगता है। मैं क्यूशू यूनिवर्सिटी जापान से हूँ। हिंदी थोड़ा सा Sorry? Oh yes, great, thank you. This is a, oh sorry. I would like to thank Dr. Manish Biyani, Dr. Nakashima, Dr. Maruf, and all our team members for Portable Health Clinic project in India. This is a picture I took when I visited first time at the Biyani College, March 2016. And I would like to share with you today, after people receive Portable Health Clinic, what has changed? What happened? What has changed? What didn't change? This is my 13th visit to Biyani Group of College since March 2016. But before that, I had visited India into 1996, Kolkata. This is a picture I took at the Kolkata, and I was traveling. And I stayed at the guest house. I met international volunteer at the hostel in Kolkata. And these people told me that, asked me to join the social service work in Calcutta. And that was Mother Teresa's house. House for dying people. And there I saw many people are dying every day, and I questioned myself, what can I do? What do I want to do? And I met Mother Teresa in 1996, and then she said every day, don't ignore people, don't judge people, let people die with dignity, and if one person dies, it's already too many. So she provided love, peace, joy every day at the center. So I learned from Mother Teresa that this is a TB, tuberculosis patient, inpatient. And this is a place where I work every day. I clean this house, I set the bed, and I clean their bodies, and I cut their nails, and I cook the food. And this is a patient I take care of. I wash their dishes and help them cook food. For 2 months. But unfortunately, next year, 1997, Mother Teresa passed away, and I questioned myself again. This is the only charity can solve the problem. Is it sustainable? More scientific knowledge, theory, methodologies are needed for helping these peoples. So I traveled all over the world after this India trip, and then I became more clear what I want to do. I want to work globally for people in need of help. I want to be public health, social science specialist who understand the peoples and who understand the society. And I wanted to contribute to the society and contribute to make some social impact. So I became more interested in what's happening to the society. Now, in the society, we are experiencing aging society. And this graph shows the percentage of people who are over 65 years old, and by the year. And red line shows the Japan, and the blue line shows India. So this is showing that by 2050, the percentage of people, Indian people, who are over 65 years old become 15%. By definition, if 14% or over, it's called an Asian society. So India become an Asian society by 2050. In Japan, almost 40% will be the people who are over 65 years old. All over other Asian countries will be the Asian country by 2050. In this society, as Dr. Nakashima and Dr. Maruf mentioned, more communicable disease emerging. And the problem in India, it says, according to the previous research, only 24% were aware of hypertension, and 20% of them are treated, and 60 to 10% are under control. So this is a problem. Many Indian people, they don't know if they are hypertension or diabetes or non-communicable disease, and they are not treated. So how can we prevent this disease, communicable disease, and how can we improve their awareness, treatment, control? Dr. Maluf and Dr. Nagashima mentioned this could be the one approach, one method to solve this problem. And we customized together with Biyani Sensei and all the team to add some eye health checkup and depth cells and some other device. But these technologies can be accepted by people or can be accepted by society. I would like to show 3 theories or models how this technology can be accepted by people or society. This is called a technology acceptance model developed by these guys in year 2000. So these are the factors which influence to the acceptance of technology. These are more social cultural factors influencing experience they want to experience, and this is not mandatory to use. These factors will influence human psychology, that they want to, the technology is useful or technology is easy to use, and it influences the intention, and then finally it will use the technology. We need to understand this kind of human psychological factor and social cultural factor and the behavioral factor. This is another model, how technology can be diffused, how technology can be used by many peoples. This model is saying that in the beginning of the technology, innovators, which consist of only 2% of whole population, will be using the technology, and then become early adopter will use, and early majority use. But these people are technology illiterate or technology allergic to technology. These people may not use technology. For example, my mother or father, they cannot use a smartphone. They are technology illiterate or technology allergic. So these, maybe my parents could be these people who never use technologies. This is another theory. How can change the behavior of people to use technology? These are the factors we should consider when we want to make people use technologies or make people want to change their behavior. So by 2030, we need to achieve these 17 goals. And each 17, there is an indicator, specific indicator, measurable indicator to change by 2030. Our portable health clinic trying to reduce the mortality rate attributed to non-communicable disease by 30%. This is our indicator to change. And another indicator, our portable health clinic is trying to increase the coverage of essential health services, such as blood sugar test or blood pressure test. So these are the components of the portable health clinic. But Dr. Maruf already mentioned about portable health clinic, so I will skip this. But this is a process, steps, how we conducted portable health clinic in India. Maybe one difference, two difference between Indian PSC and then Bangladesh case PSC is we don't use the telemedicine in India. Maybe future we may be useful. And another is we have a questionnaire to understand, to ask question patient about their behavior, their attitude, their perception, social cultural factor, demographic factor. And this graph showing the partner of our PhD project. Since March 2016, we have visited Karwar Health Center, Karwar Village, Sapanch, Rajasthan State Department of Medical Health Family Welfare, and the Jaipur local government, Brahma Kumaris, and the Saras Daily Jaipur, thanks to the coordination by Biyani College. And we have visited not only one time, but visited many times. And from February 2019, we started sustainable PhD project at Lotus Daily. This presentation objective is to find out if these PHC health checksums are really effective or not. Is this really making any changes for people's behavior or clinical outcomes? The method, we collected data from 145 factory worker at the Saras Daily, Jaipur, who completed the baseline and after 6 months survey and health checkup in 2018. This was conducted, first survey conducted in March, and then after 6 months in September, we collected 2 times, same patient. This is field research, which is collection of raw data outside of laboratory, library, or workplace. So this is social science approach. So maybe a little bit different from the research who conduct at the laboratory or workplace or your schools. But this kind of real world data in a real society can enhance or improve learning, increasing understanding and knowledge of what's happening in the real world, in the real community society. So we conducted this statistical analysis to compare the change before and after 6 months. What happened after PHC? So this is a research design we conducted in March 2018, and then second time in September at the Saras Daily factory worker. So this is the data we collected. We collected the registration seat, age, sex, gender, this information, and some clinical information, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, hemoglobin, and this is a questionnaire data which include behavioral data. And this question, first time, March 18, there are 205 participants. However, at the second time, out of 205, 145 came, and 64 people didn't come back for the second survey. And this questionnaire data is entered by Biyani student and all the support. So this is a result I would like to share. This graph showing the percentage of participant, 145 Saras Daily worker who diagnosed as hypertension, yes, and then diabetes, yes, and both hypertension and diabetes, yes, and then overweight or obesity. Blue is before first health checkup, and orange is the second health checkup after 6 months. As you can see, there are slightly improvement, reduced the percentage of hypertension, the percentage of diabetes, a little bit reduced. However, the difference, this reduction was not statistically significant after 6 months. This graph showing the awareness, behavior, awareness, treatment for hypertension and diabetes at the baseline endline survey. This, the left graph showing participant who answer, yes, I already previously been diagnosed as hypertension. I already know I'm hypertension. In the beginning, out of 145, only 8.5% people know I'm hypertension. But after 6 months, those who answer, yes, I know I'm hypertension, is 25.5. It's statistically significantly increased the awareness. I know I'm hypertension. This graph showing the percentage of people who answer, I'm taking medicine for hypertension. In the beginning, only 5.7% I'm taking the medicine for hypertension. But after 6 months, 17.7% say yes, I'm taking the medicine for hypertension among those who are hypertension. And this difference was statistically significant. This is for diabetes. I know I'm diabetes. Only 9.2% I know I'm diabetes. After 6 months, 14.2% said, I know I'm diabetes. But this difference, this improvement, this difference was not statistically significant. However, the treatment for diabetes, I'm taking medicine for diabetes, this was statistically significantly improved. This is the last bar graph showing that participant health behavior between first time and second time survey. This left graph showing participant who answer, I usually go to sub-health center, small health center when I'm sick. This was reduced. The percentage who go to small health center was reduced after 6 months. However, people who answer, I go visit government hospital or private clinic increased after 6 months. So it means people become more aware, more wanted better service, better treatment at a larger hospital or better quality of health facility after you receive PHC service. These two graphs showing those who answer, yes, I'm already trying to improve eating habit, exercise habit. After people receive PHC, more people, they are trying to improve their eating habit or exercise habit. And this improvement, this change was significant, statistically significant. And more people answered, statistically significant percentage of people answered, I want to pay more than 500 Indian rupee for PHC service. This is showing before and after the relationship between this red circle is showing people who answered, people newly found hypertension, and the yellow one is those who are previously diagnosed hypertension, and this is blue one is showing those currently taking hypertension drug. So red one is showing awareness. The awareness is among those who are newly found hypertension. 45, only 12% were aware about their hypertension status. 22% are aware, and 14.8% are treated, and 3.7% are controlled. They are taking medicine and not diagnosed as hypertension. So this percentage after 6 months, it increased after 6 months, as well as diabetes. So this is a conclusion. Level of awareness, treatment, control of non-communicable disease among repeated health checkup employee in Jaipur has been improved after 6 months, but not their clinical outcome. Mobile health check service could be an effective approach to improve participant health behavior after 6 months. So next step, we need to repeat this kind of health checkup, and then we want to investigate 6 months effect, 1 year effect, or even shorter effect, 1 month effect. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. I'm really grateful for your consistent effort with your emotional attachment to India. I think this is something hard work you have seen, how a person coming from a developed country visit India and get inspired. Actually, he can be, I think he is a self-discovered person who visited many places and finally he found what he should do and what he is doing now. So the PSC is, I think, a unique concept, and already we are doing this PSC in Jaipur, and some data has shown that such activity can improve the awareness and also the somehow the healthcare also. So if you have any some questions, yeah.
Hello, I have one question. How you can identify the patient is suffering from hypertension through PSC? It is only on the basis of questionnaire or any test? So what data you provide to the doctor for the same?
Thank you for the question. First question, we use the PHC health checkup
Yeah.
to check their blood
Now
pressure.
my question is how you can identify the patient is suffering from hypertension through PSC? It is only on the basis of questionnaire or any test you can provide to the patient?
Both. We tested by the PHC and also we ask a question.
Okay, only on the questionnaire basis. So what data you provide to the doctor so they can provide the medicine to the patient?
Yes. We provided all the health checkup results.
Okay, questionnaire, okay, only on the basis of theoretical basis?
No. They also have the data. They have the device in the PSC system. They have the device in the PSC system. So they do the test, blood test. So any other queries from audience? I think we can introduce this system in all the rural areas in the Rajasthan if possible, and let's see how it can improve that. Maybe I felt one thing that it can be customized based on the need of a society. Some village might need some other tools, so that can be customized, but I think the concept can be utilized in many areas. So again, thank you, Dr. Yogita. Thank you very much.
Moving ahead with our next invited talk, I would like to request Dr. Prashant Singh. Sir is working as Assistant Professor in Department of Botany, University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. The major area of interest in plant immunity, transgenerational immune priming, and plant molecular biology. So ladies and gentlemen, please use a round of applause for Dr. Prashant Singh, sir.
Is it okay?
Right, so good afternoon to all of you, and it's really a great pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank the Biyani trios, all the three brothers, to provide really a nice platform to share my research work, which I was doing back in States or in UK. So thank you very much, all the Biyani group, including management, teachers, students, because you guys are responsible to make this program a grand success. Since morning, we are hearing, a lot of health problem, health associated stuff. So initially I was trying to think how I can fit my talk over here. And then I decided to move this further. So it's like green vaccination. So as you heard the name vaccination, you always think again it's linked with the human health. But thing is not like that. What is that? The session is a smart healthcare session. Right. So what I try to bring here, I try to bring the plant health welfare, because I know we are very hungry for the lunch, and what you are going to eat you need to protect. So it is how you can make the plant health fit for human welfare with no rocket science. Because we are talking about sustainability. So I will discuss slowly later on what exactly for me the sustainable means. So we know there is a lot of conference, the meeting, the Congress getting on all over the world regarding the global food security. And I was also one of the members of some of the conferences, but I was never satisfied that even if we are going to solve the global food security, still we are not able to feed the billion of people. And you know why? Unless and until it is sustainable. Solving the global food security is not the solution in 21st century to feed the million of people. It has to be sustainable. And what is that? Sustainable means there should be no impact on environment. So you need to make sure that if you're trying to bring any plant variety in the environment, there should be no detrimental effect on the environment. So you need to make sure that there is no breach in the environmental health. Economic profitability. If there is no capital, again, it's not sustainable. So you need to make sure it is profitable. And moreover, yes, you need to provide the social equity among the population, among the people, and that's the real sustainable means when we talk about the science in the 21st century. And moreover, you can exploit. I'm not saying that you should not exploit the environment. I'm not saying that. I'm not preaching here. What I'm saying, it has to be bearable. If it is not bearable, it is not sustainable. You can exploit the environment, but it has to be bearable. Similarly, environment and economic, it has to be viable. And here again, it is the social and economic equitability. So this is the real sustainability. At the end of the talk, I will try to convince what we have done in 2 to 3 years. Is it the real sustainable plant healthcare for the 21st century? And why we need to do? Everybody know that we need to increase the food population, let's say like 40% by 2030, and is going to increase by 2050 by 70%. And the reason behind that, there is a population burst. The population is increasing continuously in the exponential form. So we have to maintain it, and we have to bring something so that we can think of sustainable global food security. I love this guy. See, it's smiling. And see how much he's suffering. 50% is loss of abiotic stress, and 50% is the biotic stress. Can anybody raise their hand if you are suffering, you are smiling? Even the answer is no. But yes. And that's why I adore him. In spite of this much of suffer, still there is a smile. So it's our right to protect as much as possible in a very simplified manner at the global or the local level. Yes, we have, like number of research papers. Even I was involved. Like you can breed, you can bring this plant healthcare, but again, it's going to take a longer time to bring to the market or bring to the society. There is a lot of constraint. Moreover, you create transgenic, but again, it's a problem of GMO. I remember I was in Switzerland, and if you talk GMO in Switzerland, it's an offense. So again, there is a lot of countries, so I'm not going to bring the debate whether the GMO is good or bad, but still, there is a lot of debate going on whether we should go on the GMO, do we have the license, and how far we can go. Moreover, we are using all these, the chemical control like insecticide and pesticides for this control. So now I decided, what to do? Do I have any other alternative? And yes, like a lot of speakers said, yes, you need to have a lot of innovative thinking. You need to think beyond the black box. And you will find number of ways to go through. And what I decided, to exploit plant natural defense. As you know, in the case of human system, it's a very well developed innate immunity. What's been knowing like T cells, B cells, WBC. Moreover, they have also adaptive immunity. But in the case of plants, in the case of the plant, they don't have very well developed immune system. But still, they are surviving, they are facing the challenge, and they are withstanding the harsh environment. So my principle was there, could we activate plant natural defense? And as we know in the case of animal cell, there are the certain cells which are specialized T cells like the memory cells. So if you are challenged with certain pathogen, it has to be stored. And when we are going to challenge, there is activation. So the big question was there, do the plant have the memory? Do they recognize the kind of stress, whether it is biotic or abiotic, they are facing? And you will see answer is yes. And I will try to make sure why it is yes. So try to focus on this slide. It's a very important slide, and the whole talk is based on that. There is a word called priming. So this is the native state of plant. Everybody knows that if this is challenged, there is activation of resistance, and that is called as induced defense. Imagine, I will try to make in a very simplified layman language for the student. Imagine the plant attacked, there is an activation of defense response. But during this activation, there will be a mobile signal as the phase. And what we call this sensitization of stress is called priming. The priming doesn't mean there is an activation of defense. Why? Because if there is a super activation of defense, there is always a yield penalty. Because if the plant is super protected, it means most of the energy of the plant need to be translocated for the defense. So as a plant immunologist or the farmer or agriculturalist, you don't want to bring any variety that has super resistant, but they are in penalty. So in this case, what happens? The plant is just in the alarm state. There is no activation of defense. Once they are attacked, they are in the alarm state. Once they are going to face again the challenge, then there is a super activated defense response. I can give you a very simple analogy. You know, when I go to the university, right? When the students see me in the corridor, they are not in the corridor. They are already in the alarm state. They know that if I'm coming, so they are not doing anything. They are always in the vigilant state. So this priming simply means you bring the plant into vigilant state. No activation of defense, only when they are going to face the second stimulus. And that is called as the defense priming or plant defense priming. Is simply like, you know, the vaccination. You got a vaccine, the human cell develop the antibodies, you got the protection. So it's like the vaccination. And yes, indeed, the plant do have a memory and they do remember stress. Try to give a simple example. I mean, this is one of the plants. So see here, if it is challenged by any pathogen, there is an activation of some plant hormones and there is activation of some defense gene. Similarly, like in the case of the human cell. However, during this, there is a mobile signal that will translocate it to the distal part that is not challenged. And this will bring into the alarmed or the vigilant state. And so here there is a hormone, but there is no defense activation. They could be in the alarm state for a year, for a month, if there is no harsh condition. However, if they are going to face again the challenge, yes, then there is a super activated defense response, and then there is a clear-cut defense priming. And simply you can see that, so this boosts the plant defensive capacity, and they can bring into them alarm state of it. And there are a number of ways we have already used in some crops. Some perennials, some annuals like the pathogens could be used as a priming agent, bring the plant into alarm state. Root microbes, volatile, the chemicals, imagine. So by these guys, you can simply bring the plant into the alarm state. Here you can see there is no activation of defense, but when they are attacked, then there is a super activation. And it is more broad spectrum. Once you are vigilant, doesn't matter, it's me, vice chancellor or anybody, you are vigilant that I should be in the class. So it's a very broad spectrum resistance. So if the plant is attacked by virus or bacteria or whatever, it brings the plant into the alarm state and they are protected against number of pathogens. So it is more like the broad spectrum resistance. So we have tested, I mean, could we prime the plant at the seed stage? And yes, answer is yes. So we have taken, you know, like the normal tomato seeds. If you treat these seeds with some of these, the elicitors or the plant defense hormones, you will get super protected. So don't be confused with the acclimation, adaptation. They are not exactly the same, because here we are simply bringing into alarm state. And yes, so imagine this is the plant. If this plant is primed, and even after 5 weeks, you can see the plant is super protected. So it means there is a memory. The plant can carry this memory. Moreover, here again in the 6 weeks, and moreover, even after challenging some pathogens, so they are protected for a pretty longer time. So this maintenance of this priming is pretty long, and that's the reason it is very, very important for exploitation. And that we call as within generation priming. And you can also use some other, you know, the compound that could be used for the priming. This is called within. So yes, if the plant is primed, it can be protected throughout the life cycle. So what are the biggest advantages? This is very simple. The response is quick. Once you are active, vigilant, your response is always quick. It's a very normal, I told you, it's not a rocket science, it's a very simple phenomenon. I mean, if you are vigilant, you take the response very quick. Moreover, you can easily predict. So prediction is quicker, earlier, and more sensitive. Even if there is a minimal dose of pathogen is there, it's like a CCTV. So if there is a CCTV camera in one home, and if there is no CCTV camera, because of CCTV, you are in an alarm state, you can easily pick and you will be ready. And again, it's more stronger response. Now I was much more interested, because if I am vaccinated, this antibody will not pass to my son. He needs to get vaccinated again. So I thought, if the plant is prime, can it pass to next generation? Then I had a bigger question, and we call that transgenerational immune priming. So if the plant is primed, you have the seed. If you grow the seed, are they primed? And the answer is yes. And this is the beauty of the product. So don't worry too much. So imagine this is your grandparent. This is you, and this is your kids. So if the grandparent is primed, so it is challenged by the small dose of any bacteria, is primed, you collect the seed. In one case, whether you can challenge again or not, in both the cases, you can see the plants are primed or protected. So it means if the grandparent is primed, this will pass to next generation. The parent, you collect the seed, it will go to next generation. And in my hand, I have tested 10 generations. And yes, they are protected in 10 generations. Moreover, we have also tested some more result with some other stress. So it's like in the case of this, some more the Biyani stress. And the answer is yes, exactly. There is a super protection. So that further signifies, if there is a farmer and if you have your own seed, you can use this seed stock for a number of generations, and that could be the clear reproduction. And you know what? I like that. I love this one. Stressed parents result in stronger offspring. So if the parents who are a bit stressed, and you will be surprised, there was a medical research published in Nature 2 weeks ago. What they have claimed, the woman was 6 months pregnant and she was a bit stressed. When I say bit stress, stress should not overcome your homeostasis. And the child was born and they have checked and it is more efficient, active. So simple example, guys, when you come here, during your examination just 1 week ago, there is a bit of stress, your activity increases. It's kind of natural way you can go for it. And yes, if you manage this, so for these, the farmers, they can collect their own seed, they can grow, and moreover, once it is prime, it is durable. It means it can last for a number of generations. And these crops, I'm not saying that plant still doesn't need insecticide and pesticide. But what you can do, you can minimize the dose. So if you are using 1 liter, but if you have the prime plant, you can minimize to 10 milliliter. So slowly, it will be more sustainable. So we know there are the 2 more slides, there are the number of control strategies, for this, the sustainable agriculture. If this guy sits somewhere, and if you use in the right combination, definitely it will be sustainable. People, these are the 3 P's when we talk about sustainability. People, planet, and profit. No detrimental effect on the environment. There should be profit, and also you can easily use to feed the people. And we have tested, so these are the take-home messages. So first, yes, it's breeding the immunity, and yes, it is called green vaccination. It's like a vaccination, and yes, indeed, it's the green vaccination. This is the sustainable approach. There are the number of approach for the crop production, plant health, but yes, indeed, this is the sustainable approach for crop production. And we have tested, imagine, we were in South Africa, we have good number of these crops. I mean, there is a super duper good growth. Moreover, I visited my hometown in the summer, and I just tried to use some of the varieties which are the prime, and there is a easily protection. So you can also do at a very local level and bring into the market. So what is that? Grow, sow, reap, and repeat. So this is the main message here. It's your own stock. Once you have these guys, you can grow, you can sow the seed, you can harvest, and still when you collect the seed, still you can repeat. And I can tell you, in my hand I have tested 10 generation, and still there is a super protection. So, defense priming. Everybody knows this guy. Healthcare. What is that? This is smart plant health care. So we need to think like you said, you need to think in a perspective that if you bring some new innovative ideas, you also need to think that it has to be sustainable, cheaper, easily available, user-friendly, and easily exploitable. And finally, I will acknowledge, some of the guys whom I worked, like Mike was in Lancaster, Madan was in Iowa State, in the States when I was in the States. The Lauren, he moved back to Switzerland, but I was working when I was in Taiwan, and the Christine at the Essex, and these are, some of the funding agencies to provide for like BBSRC in UK, National Science Council in Taiwan, and USD&D for this. So thank you very much. Thanks for being a very good audience. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Prasant, to let us know how the priming strategy can work to get sustainable world. I'm still trying to get it. So, any audience comments from Dr. Prasant or queries? Maybe a very new topic, maybe.
I agree with your concept, but I'm afraid it's difficult to optimize the amount of priming because too much priming kills them. But on the other hand, too small, no effect. And it takes about more than 1 year for evaluation.
It's a very good point, Jay. If I'm not mistaken, he's asking, what could be the minimal dose? What could be the minimal dose for the plants to get primed? It's a very good question. So we have tested number of concentration against the various crops, and you just require a very minimal dose that is not detrimental, and it is enough to bring the plant into the active state. And the only thing is there, you have to be very careful. When we think of the priming, it's very easy for this, the herbs or the perennial crops. But when you think of the trees, because they are facing this natural environment every day now and then, so principally they are already the prime, and that's the reason trees are more resistant as compared to the normal crops. But definitely you need a very minimal dose that is enough to trigger the stimulus and bring into the alarm state.
Yeah, so to find that minimal dose is, I think, one of the concerns.
Yeah, exactly.
So, audience looks very silent. So if no, then let's conclude this session, and please give again a hand to Dr. Prasant. Thank you very much.